Hey, good morning, good
Hello.
afternoon, good
Hello.
evening. Hello. It's a wonderful day. We are alive.
That's it.
So, this is the Baker Senior Show and we're fantastic today, and we're also going to be being educated, which is also another fantastic thing. So the Baker Senior Show is all about Medicare and health and all the things that we need as seniors. So as we
Hmm.
start to age, say 50 and above, things start to change. Let's face it, we're not teenagers anymore. And so we have different needs, we have different things with different topics like our health that we talk about a lot more.
Hmm.
Have you noticed that?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
what I love about what you're doing, Steve, is that you're sharing a lot of your experience. So not only do you have a lot of clients who are on Medicare and who are following your health advice, but you also are on it yourself. You and your wife, I almost said husband, that would have been bad. You and your wife are both on Medicare and both have used it with different health things that have come up. And
Hmm.
so you have experience with your clients, you have experience with yourself. And I love that you bring in the stories of the different things that have happened to people that you know. And so, would you tell us a little bit about your background? Let's start off with your background, Steve. What makes you a Medicare source?
Well, I've been doing Medicare for close to 20 years now, and I was in the just a general insurance before that, so I have pretty good experience. And about 15 years, well, I'm not going to say how old I am. That would be any good. So some years back, I became 65, let's say, and I became a member of the Medicare world personally. And some
Mm-hmm.
years after that, my wife did as well. So my clients call me all the time and ask me about this or that or what's this. Some do, that is. Others just kind of they just kind of run on their own, and they learn it as they go to see their doctor and so forth. But I thought today I would just cover what I would call around the edges of Medicare and what it does and doesn't do, and some things that are related to your health, kind of, and some things that you can just kind of let slide. And I want to talk about things that Medicare does not cover to begin with, and then we'll cover some other things that have to do with uh, have to do with Medicare. So I'll start off by talking about, and maybe I can title this talk around the edges, stuff just kind of around the edges of Medicare.
I
And
like that because, Steve, so many people have traditional life. They retired, they live in a brick, sticks and bricks, they call it. They live in a community in the United States. They
uh-huh,
don't move around, they don't travel. They're just stationary and stable. And
right,
that's a different Medicare, right? Than
uh-huh,
people say who travel all over the country in their motorhome. That's a different lifestyle. And
hmm,
so your Medicare has to fit your lifestyle.
right. Yep, yes, it does. Absolutely, no
Yeah,
question about it.
yeah. So there's things that have come up in your experience where people haven't been covered and they were surprised.
Uh-huh, sure.
That's what you're talking about. Surprise! That's not covered under Medicare.
Yes, hello. Exactly.
Okay.
And I'll talk about one thing that everyone eventually has to take care of and has to face, especially in the advancing years, and that is long-term care.
Oh,
And
yes.
and I think we've talked about that before. And there's when we talk about long-term care, we're talking about full-blown nursing home care, and then we're talking about assisted living, which is a next step down. and then just home health care and that sort of thing. So long-term care, home health care, in assisted living are very important. And when you face that, all of a sudden people are in shock about what to do. And I get phone calls, not a whole lot, but I do get phone calls about that issue, about someone. And fortunately, I think all of my clients are pretty healthy now. But I have received calls in the past about long-term care, and that's a discussion unto itself, and we could talk about that at some other time. But long-term care is an issue, and people really do need to pay attention to the issue of long-term care. I want to talk about another thing that it doesn't stress me out so much, but I do see things on TV that I go, whoa, wait a minute. And we're coming into the time of the year with what we call the annual enrollment period. And we'll see, I don't watch TV a lot, but occasionally I'll see it on TV. And if you watch TV, you'll see it again and again and again and again. There's a football player who was active years ago named Joe Namath.
Oh
Joe
yeah, I
Joe
remember that name.
Joe Namath appears on the commercials for a few of the providers, and he are carriers, let's say, and he comes on, and they say zero cost, and it'll pay for dental, it'll pay for hearing, and it'll pay for dental, hearing, and vision. And then they go on, oh, okay, then that's covered, right? Because Joe Namath said that was covered. Well, I don't like the word covered. And the reason I don't, of course, they don't call on me to write the commercials. So, when you have a bed, say a king size bed, and you have something that goes over it, like what they call it, a bedspread. So you take the bedspread and you put it over the bed, and that's called covering. That's it's covered, covers the whole bed. And when people hear that, they say to themselves, they say, oh, it's covered. Well, it's not covered. I mean, I wish they would come up with another name, because they will provide some assistance for dental, some assistance for hearing, and some assistance slight for vision. And so you just kind of learn, what you're really talking about. It's kind of an education thing that you move through for yourself. So dental, vision, and hearing, you can bring it up in the conversation, but it's not covered as such. There's some assistance. For example, let's talk about dental. For the most part, especially in the Medicare, Medicare. If you're talking about, you remember there are two kinds. There's the Medicare Advantage, and then there's traditional Medicare. Especially in the Medicare Advantage, dental, vision, and hearing comes up a lot. And dental, for the most part, is covered. You go to the dentist, and especially if you haven't been to the dentist in a good while, they'll give you one dose of X-rays and just a look at your teeth and that sort of thing. Nothing that they would typically call dental assistance, because they will discover things in your mouth. They'll just say, oh, when the dentist goes,
that's not good. I don't want
that's good.
I don't want to hear that. Oh,
yeah, right. So that is not covered. What happens is that they will give you a once over exam, and you can do that like once a year. And maybe if you need, a slight cleaning job, that they will do that. Not anything in depth, but that's what's called dental under Medicare. Everything else, you mostly, even with the with the Medicare, you have to pay something out of your pocket. So then vision. Medicare covers vision if you have a card, and if you can go in, they will generally pay part or most of the exam itself, of the vision exam itself. Everything else, you're on your own as far as your vision goes.
Like your glasses and your
Yeah.
contacts and all that, that's not covered.
That's not covered. There's one exception that we'll talk about in just a second. But it's, dental, vision, and hearing is kind of covered, kind of.
That doesn't
listed.
sound too good.
It's sort of. But I always tell people just to take a lot of the TV commercials that you see with a grain of salt.
Just like having a half a bedspread.
Yes, like having a half of a bedspread or a quarter of a bedspread.
A quarter of it. Okay, that's even worse. I mean, you have
Right.
to curl up in a ball just to get covered.
Right. So they kind of commercials kind of stretch that dental, vision, and hearing thing out a lot, and you just have to remember that you got to delve into that a little bit to find out really what they're talking about there.
I have a question for you, Steve. Sorry to throw a wrench in here, but
that's fine.
When you talk about the Advantage plan, the name sounds like it's an advantage, and we should have it.
Mm-hmm.
Who came up with that name and why?
The marketers did. People, the advert, they market. But the official name is Medicare Advantage. And there's also, there's one big, huge advantage to Medicare Advantage, and that is the cost. You pay basically next to nothing for it. And I'm not trying to say that you get nothing for it, but you just have to adjust your expectations down quite a bit. But you do have something, but you don't have to pick a lot out of your pocket in order to keep the coverage going. So not like the traditional. Even there, you don't have to pick a whole lot out of your pocket, but you do have to pay on a monthly basis. Zero premium dental, vision, and coverage. That's basically the approach that they take. But there's a lot goes into what we're talking about. There's a lot in the background that you have to understand. And I'll just pick one. And as we get older, most seniors at some point in their lives have to face something called cataract surgery. They start, their eyes start fogging over a little bit, and things are a little bit blurred, and so you go in. A doctor says, "Okay, you need to have some cataracts taken out." Now, cataracts quite normal. I mean, it's just a matter. It is a surgery, and they do usually one eye at a time. Traditional Medicare will cover cataract surgery without question. Now, if we talk about glasses, whenever you have cataract surgery, your eyes all change. Your whole vision thing changes, and people are really blessed to find out that they can see once again, because it's happened over a period of time, and things get foggy as you look out past the hood of your car and stuff. So, I can see. So that's great. They do one eye, and then typically they do other. Now the glasses part comes is Medicare will pay for one pair of standard frame glasses after cataract surgery. So that's the dental, that's the vision part of it. Hearing is hearing aids. They'll especially the Medicare Advantage part, they will pay part of the hearings. Good hearing aids will come sometimes thousands of dollars, and they will pay $200 or $300, $400 maybe of the total amount. So, it is, as we've just discussed, partially covered, but mostly not all covered.
So let's say, Steve, as a good change their coverage, is that the time, the open enrollment period, is that the time that they call you and say, can I change now?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that open enrollment period is October 15th through December 7th. Do they need to schedule an appointment with you ahead of time? Because I know you're really busy during that time.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. As a matter of fact, right now, as we are recording this, we're right in the middle of something that's called COVID-19 all over the United States. As a matter of fact, all over the world, really.
That's right.
Right, and it's quite an issue, and it's really stressful. So we have devised a way that I don't even have to go out and see you. We can do it all over the phone and on the computer. And even if you don't have a computer, we can still make a lot of progress if you just give me a call, and we'll set up a time to have a long telephone conversation, and I can explain everything to you and see what you need. A lot of the advantage stuff has to do with your location, where you live, what county you live in, and so forth.
Isn't that amazing? So don't try to remember everything that Steve is telling you today, but do remember his phone number, which is 832-754-3292. You don't want to have to go searching for that phone number when you really need it. So put it up on your refrigerator or post it somewhere on your computer where you know you can get to it when you need to. So any questions you might have, Steve is willing to talk to you about it, especially if you're getting ready to turn 65 or you need some kind of advice on changing maybe your Medicare, because let's face it, not everybody fits into this little box. And so the coverage is different for different things that are happening in your life. So 832-754-3292.
Yes, and a lot of it has to do with your situation, where you are. Your age, of course, is huge there, because if you're in an open enrollment period, then I'll be able to tell you, and I can help you a lot more if you're in the open enrollment period. One example would be, in the open enrollment would be, the cataract surgery. There's another issue with your eyes that a lot of older people get into. It's called macular degeneration. And you hear that term a lot. And you need to understand that there are two separate kinds of macular degeneration. One is what they call dry. You just have to remember those two terms, dry and wet. And if you ever have to undergo underwriting for whatever reason, and I can tell you right away whether you have to have underwriting or not. But if you do, dry macular degeneration usually just passes right through the underwriting process. They will take that, and there are two distinct kinds of, as I've just said, macular degeneration. So macular degeneration is a good ophthalmologist can tell you right away which kind you have. The wet kind is the kind where you have to have shots into your eyes on a regular basis, and if you have to pay for those, I know, right into your eyes. I know, but the people, my clients who have those, they go every 2 or 3 months or whatever, 4 months, to have their shots in their eyes, and those are very, very expensive. Typically, if you have the right kind of coverage at the right time, those will be, we're going to use this word again, those will be covered. So close to $2,000 a shot for both eyes is what you incur on every 2 or 3 months. So for the underwriting basis, they need to know whether you have been seeing a physician for wet macular degeneration, and that makes a huge difference in your coverage. But I can have solutions for you and help you out, especially during this open enrollment period. And Medicare Advantage is good for a lot of people, no question about it. And it just depends on your situation. So just remember that. And there's other things. Hearing aids is a big issue. As we get older, we start having hearing issues and so forth. And those have to be addressed on an individual basis, and we can talk about that. So the other thing that I'd like to point out is that people, if they've been working at a certain location for a good while, and if it's a large organization, they can have something that's called retiree group plans. There are companies that have retiree group plans that you can get onto after you've been there a certain number of years and so forth. And then there are companies that do not have them. If you do not have them, then you've got to go and explore on your own and quickly get educated about the Medicare world. And that's one of the major things that I do. You just educate people about where they are and what's ahead of them in terms of Medicare. But the retiree group plans could possibly be a lot better for you than Medicare, possibly. You just have to explore it. And then the other huge thing that there's A, B, C, and D. A, B, Medicare A, and Medicare B. C are the Advantage plans. And then the big D, we call it, the drugs. That's always an issue. So you have to fit yourself into where you are with your drug program and so forth. And we're pretty good at explaining it and fitting you into the proper drug plan, because once you're on prescriptions, which I'm on some myself, and a lot of people over 60 are on them, and they stay on them on a regular basis. And they're in two groups. One is brand name and one is generic. So a lot of times you can reduce the cost a lot by participating in the generic program. So basically, you just need to pay attention, talk to someone like myself who can guide you and direct you. And what I'm about, since I've been doing it so many years, I'm not about selling anything. I'm more about educating everyone about where they are and answering a lot of questions, because that's important. You need to be comfortable with where you're going. You need to know where you stand in terms of Medicare use, and I can explain the whole situation to you and relieve a lot of stress that, and sometimes the stress is so unnecessary, really. So I can let you know where you are and what your outlook is for your future. And fortunately, we're living longer and longer. So you've got a good while to participate in the Medicare program. So,
oh joy!
oh joy! Exactly.
Yeah. Oh joy.
So you need to know, where you are and where you stand. So I answer a lot of questions. And
you really do give us healthcare peace of mind, Steve. I love the fact that, and for those of you who don't know Steve personally, like I do, he has had his own issues with his health, and he overcame them. He listened to the healthcare providers. He's now a vegan. I guess that's what you call yourself, or a vegetarian.
I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah, because of some heart issues, and I have a wonderful story that I'm sure he loves to hear about how he brought me lunch at my office one day, and he came with a vegetarian pizza, and I got a regular pizza, and his was so much better. I was like, oh my goodness. So when you think about a vegetarian, you think, oh, they don't they don't eat food that tastes good. But I love the fact that you're interested not only in our health care, as in Medicare and insurance, but you're also interested in keeping us healthy, because who wants to be old and unhealthy? That's like,
Exactly.
hell right here on earth, right? Ugh.
Yes, exactly.
So I love the fact that you're bringing people on the show that are, that are trying to help us not only be healthy in our body, but also our mind.
Right.
I really appreciate that. So if you have any questions for Steve, I want you to be able to know that we are live every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, and we're here for a full 30 minutes, and you can ask any questions you want. If you send questions to Steve on his website, or you go to his Facebook page, then he can answer those questions here. You don't have to show up live, but you can. There's a little place down below where you can ask questions right here while we're live.
Mm-hmm.
If we bring up something that causes you to have even more questions, we want to know, because nobody wants to be surprised if they get Medicare and someone talks them into this plan or that plan, and then they find out what they really needed is not covered. And I appreciate you covering all that today. What's covered, what's not covered. But I can imagine that they're still confused, because everybody's different.
Right. Everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to be comfortable with where you are. And I'm pretty good at explaining people where they are and so forth, and their age at the time we have our conversation is very important. It means a lot, because it tells me where where you are and what situation. And sometimes people just don't do anything when they turn 65, and then they just continue on. And if they put things off, then that's where you got big issues later on down the road. So it's important to focus in on where you are and what you need. And I'm glad to help.
And you really did help. I'll give you an example. If you're not familiar with what Steve does, all I had to do when I had a question about a friend of mine, it wasn't even for me, it was a friend of mine whose situation was changing. I just gave him a call. We scheduled an appointment time to go over medications, to go over where she's going to be living. We went over visiting doctors, going out to doctors. We talked about all of that, and he came up with the right plan for her. So I want you to know that it's not just your Medicare questions. If you call Steve, he can help you with your plan. And it really did incorporate all of that, because this particular friend I have has Alzheimer's. So she had to go into a personal care home or a locked facility in one of those mega buildings, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So Steve was able to find the right plan for her, so that we didn't have to take her out every time to see a doctor. The doctor came to visit her. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it, Steve. You're awesome. Oh, we have a question. Mary Shin is here, and she has a question. And we're not sure what the question is yet. Okay. Well, Mary, feel free to let us know what your question is, and maybe we can cover it in next week's show. We're out of time. Steve, is there anything that you want to say in your last words here today on this show?
Well, the other thing is that it's just don't get stressed out about Medicare, because it's there are a lot of issues, and there are a lot of if you're walking down a path, there are a lot of paths that you can take off to the side, and each one of them, I guess, as a matter of course, carries some stress with it. but it's better to get an overall picture and then focus in on where you are. Most of it doesn't apply to if you're an individual and you're turning 65 or you've been 65 for a while, or you've even had Medicare for a while. Most of it does not apply to you, but a few things do. So I can just focus you in the right direction and tell you where you are and see what we want to do.
Fantastic. Thanks for watching the show. We appreciate you. We're going to be back again next Tuesday at 8 o'clock Central Time. We'll see you then.
Bye
Bye for
bye.
now.
Bye.